and murdered the man for money. At about 2 o'clock this morning, the jail in the city was visited by a large number of men. You see that back there, white? We'll even hear from one of the lynch mob. Welcome to Friday Night Ghost Frights. I'm author and ghost historian Mike Ricksecker. Explore with us. It was 1874 and they came in the middle of the night, broke down the doors to the jail, and hauled the man to a tree where they strung him up until he was found dead the next morning. Frontier justice. It's a tale that's been lost to time until now. We'll even hear from one of the lynch mob.
When I was back here and I started walking this way, all of a sudden I was like...
You actually picking up on it? This would be like right around that spot. 60, 80 feet maybe from there. Right here. That's about that. What did they do with the body?
The man was Clark Evans, and he was wanted for the murder of John Halbert of Bluffdale Township, Illinois. Evans allegedly broke into Halbert's cabin on the night of April 30th and murdered the man for money, but none was to be found. He never got to trial, and when the mob made to string him up, he again claimed that there were others that were involved. Was he telling the truth then, on the brink of death?
It's like right here is where I feel it most. Like this area right here, I didn't feel it at all from the car over. It wasn't until I got to somewhere like this whole area between the bucket and like, even to me it sounds fake just now, but I mean, it's like, oh no, the man was hung here and all of a sudden it, to me that sounds fake. But
I get what you're saying. That's why I was like, whoa, you're really picking up on that? But it could be.
Originally from the vicinity of Montezuma in Pike County, Clark Evans was described as 5 foot 8 inches with short sandy brown hair, missing a couple of teeth, 2 or 3 in his bottom jaw, and of fair complexion. By the age of 24, he had already had a number of run-ins with the law. Many believe that he had helped his brother murder a Dr. Foley back in Pike County, and when Evans showed up there around the Carrollton and Bluffdale area, he had just been released from Joliet, serving time for having broken into a Catholic church in Carlinville and stealing jewels from out of the church. After the body of Halbert had been found, Clark Evans was detained in Whitehall by Sheriff John Jones and brought back down to Carrollton and detained in the jail there. However, at 2 a.m. he was roused from his sleep by the sound of many voices. This is straight from an article from the local newspaper. At about 2 o'clock this morning, the jail in the city was visited by a large number of men in wagons and buggies. The latter was aroused by an alarm at the door and the statement that the party was outside were in possession of a party arrested for murder whom they desired to imprison. When the door of the anteroom was open, some 9 or 10 men rushed in, pushing one of their number before them, under pretense that he was the culprit. Getting fairly in, the jailer discovered that they were all in disguise, either by wearing masks or with blackened faces, and at once suspected the object of their visit. But as quick as he thought, he was pinioned by several of the party, pointing cocked revolvers at his head and demanding the keys to the main door and cells. Simultaneously, some of the party discovered the keys hanging near the barreled entrance and took possession of them. While one half of the party held the jailer at bay, the other half proceeded to unlock the doors, going immediately to the cell where Clark Evans was chained down, and they released him by means of a hatchet and cold chisel. In a few moments, they rushed back to the entrance with Evan in charge and hurried him into one of the wagons. On looking out into the streets, the jailer saw a large number of persons afoot, as well as in buggies and wagons, and they hurried away in various directions. He gave the alarm at once, but could not get enough persons together at the hour to pursue. The sheriff and deputies started out, but could not get on track of the fleeing party. About 7 o'clock this morning, ex-Sheriff Bell, who resides at Providence, came in, bringing the news that a man was found by some passers-by hanging to a tree by the roadside near the south approach to the Apple Creek Bridge. Hurrying thither, the officers ascertained that it was Clark Evans, the prisoner who was taken from jail but a few hours before. The culprit was suspended in such a way that his feet nearly touched the ground by the bending of the limb, but he was dead and cold. A coroner's inquest was held in the presence of a vast crowd of people who had gathered from all quarters. The corpse was taken down and placed in a rough box made at the sawmill nearby, and then deposited in the Providence graveyard. Of course, the authorities have not the remotest idea as to who composed the lynching party, but the whole affair was well planned and adroitly executed. We're at Providence Cemetery, where in the article that we discovered, it said he was actually buried here. He was actually discovered hung up from a tree a bit northwest of here after a lynch mob of up to 40 people dragged him out of the jail and strung him up from that tree over there by Apple Creek. But we did get a newspaper article, found one that said that he was buried here, and you may have felt him, and you're thinking that he might be in a certain section here.
I kind of feel like he's going to be like with the other, the hanging tree that we did with the Dr. McCullough, and he was buried just kind of away from the general population, and, you know, over there in a very, very back corner with a tree, and he was like pretty much the only one in that spot. So I kind of figure because this guy did such a horrific, you know, thing, that he's probably not going to be deemed worthy enough to be buried with everybody else. He's going to be off doing his own thing.
Yeah, he was in jail for murder.
Yeah.
And he kind of went back and forth on whether he was guilty or not. But basically, it was such an atrocity that there were even people from Missouri that were coming out here to hang him. So.
And he did have, we discovered some aliases too.
He did. He had 2 other aliases. So,
pretty shady.
Yeah, it's a shady guy, pretty nefarious fellow. Hello, citizens. We are looking for somebody you don't like. We're looking for Clark Evans. You keep lingering over alongside here. Think maybe they just tossed him off over here.
I don't even know if they marked it. I mean, the other one wasn't. I mean, what he did was not a very respectful thing and didn't really deserve.
Right.
You know. So I could see them shoving him off somewhere in a corner or over, you know, away from the rest of everybody else.
In the aftermath, the people of Greene County went on with their lives. At least most of them did. But as for the ones that were a part of the lynch mob, they had their own demons to contend with. This is an account from one of those that were a part of the mob. As soon as we got out of town, we took the gag out of his mouth so as to hear him talk. He begged for his life from the start, said that if he could live but a few months longer, he could give proof that he had been frightened into the confession by the threats of hanging. But when he found that we would not listen to him, he seemed unable to say anything. Still, we kept the gag on him whenever we passed a house for fear that he would make a fuss. When we got to the tree where we hung him, he again begged for his life and cried like a child, but we put the rope around his neck and told him he had but 10 minutes to live. He kneeled down and prayed for a while, and then cried again, and said he was not the only guilty party, and said that Johnson had helped and brought men to swear falsely for him and wanted someone to write out his true confession. But we told him we came to hang him and not to write for him. So when we told him he had but 3 minutes more, he spent it all in praying. The leader held the watch, but we all had hold of the rope so that all should be concerned. We watched him until he was dead, and then we all scattered for home, and no 2 of us were to be seen together for 2 months. I shall never help hang another man. I have hardly been able to sleep a wink since I can see that man hanging to a tree all the time. I don't know all that helped to do it. I don't dare to tell. I should be killed if I did. It was fixed that there was never but 5 of the mob together at any place until we met at the jail. We all swore an oath to never tell, and to help kill any that did tell. And when any of us were sick, one of the others is always to watch with him to keep him from confessing. I wish I had never had anything to do with it. Some of the men came over from Missouri and some from Calhoun. Them that came over the river are to work in the harvest a while and go back one at a time. I won't say where I live. I would not have said anything, but thought the public would like to know something about it. Evans left a message for his father, and the captain is going to send it to him. It was something about his being sorry, but I was so scared I could not remember it. Signed, one of the mob. Okay, it is March. We are back at Providence Cemetery. The idea that with the foliage died off before it's about to grow back here in the spring, that maybe, possibly, we can find the grave of Clark Evans, if that is where it is. You see that back there, white?
What is that?
That looks like a grave marker back in there. Ah, a piece of foam. Ah, thought that was gonna be it. Looked like one of these stones, you know, because it was kind of that size, right? Ah, what a tease. Thank you for watching Friday Night Ghost Frights. Please let us know what you thought of this video in the comments below. And if you've not yet, please subscribe and click the bell icon to get notifications. I'm Mike Ricksecker. Until next Friday night.